Hey everybody, Aaron from the Ballpit here, back with another episode of The Writer's Block. I know it's been a while since a true episode, but there hasn't been anything I want to talk about until recently. So, if you aren't aware, the newest performer for the most upcoming, the soonest, the next Super Bowl coming up, the halftime performance was released, and it is Kendrick Lamar. He will be performing at the Super Bowl halftime show in February 2025 in New Orleans, Louisiana. And when this news got released, it was initially met with a lot of anger from people as they stated that it is an outrage and it is ridiculous that Lil Wayne was not gifted the headlining performance title for the Super Bowl because, if you don't know, Lil Wayne is, one of the best rappers to ever touch a microphone and is also from New Orleans. And so they suggested that because of that, it only makes sense to have Lil Wayne headline the Super Bowl in New Orleans to show some hometown appreciation. And they cited the halftime performance of with Dre and Snoop in Los Angeles, California, when they were headlining, because, Dre's from Compton and Snoop's from Long Beach, so it's hometown appreciation. They said, how come that opportunity was gifted to them, but not to Wayne when his hometown comes around? I think that question is reasonable to ask. But I think suggesting that Kendrick Lamar does not deserve this opportunity, instead, just doesn't deserve it at all, is just not true. Kendrick Lamar's been having one of the biggest years in hip-hop, with everything that happened with the Drake beef and everything. He's one of the most prolific, impactful, and popular hip-hop artists of all time. So he has the legacy for it. He has the hits for it. He's been making good music since 2011 when Section 80 dropped. And he's been having a big year. His name is drawing a lot of views, a lot of attention, and he's dropping an album allegedly in October, which, I'm assuming that some of those songs are going to be performed at the Super Bowl halftime show. So it makes sense from a business perspective why you would choose Kendrick Lamar, because ultimately the Super Bowl halftime show is one of the most watched shows every year. Super Bowl in general is one of the most watched programs every year, and the halftime show is what a lot of people tune into. I know people, myself included in the past, who have watched the Super Bowl are only for the halftime show. Don't even tune in for the football game. Just go there for the halftime show. I did that with Rihanna's performance because it's Rihanna. I'm gonna be there, right? So, it's a big deal, and you want a big artist headlining it. And that's not to say that Lil Wayne is not a big artist or doesn't draw numbers. Lil Wayne's one of the most popular artists, and especially hip-hop artists of all time. He does draw those numbers. But what I ask you is, what has Lil Wayne done recently? His name hasn't been out there, really, except for this instance right here, and occasional instances of what I've seen, at least, of hip-hop Twitter being like, look at this Wayne feature, and you go and listen to the Wayne feature. It's one of the best features that you've ever heard in your life, because that's what Lil Wayne does. Right? But that's really it. Lil Wayne has pretty much stayed to himself, and he just goes skateboarding and makes, drops features. He features on people's songs, and they're great. That's what he does. He's not a super huge name right now in the current sphere. And I know that the argument is, well, Rihanna hasn't released music in Lord knows how long. When was the last time Rihanna released a song? Which she needs to change that, by the way, because we need it. 2016. And Usher, hasn't been a big name in a while, but My counter to that is a couple of things. The first counter to that is that if Rihanna released an album right now, that shit would go quintuple fucking platinum, right? That shit would blow up immediately because people are wanting a Rihanna album. And Usher was making waves with him doing those like live shows where like these women were like at live attending the show and like publicly essentially saying they'd cheat on their boyfriend or husband with Usher. What was her name? Keke Palmer. Didn't something happen with that? I don't know. Hold on. Let me look this up so I'm not. Yeah. Because Keke Palmer went to the live show and did all that. That was happening at the same time. And those are definitely legacy pools. I do think that their name, in a sense, right now, holds a little more weight than Lil Wayne's. But even if it doesn't, because it is Lil Wayne, this is somebody that definitely has the ability to draw numbers. If we look up, how does the Super Bowl halftime show get chosen? Here's how the NFL here. Let's pull this up. Let's pull up the article so I'm not bullshitting here. Can you guys see that? Let me draw you over here. Here's how the NFL chooses Super Bowl halftime performers. There's Rihanna, great show by the way. Here we go. So the league starts with popular performers who appeal to as many people as possible and goes from there. We know that Jay-Z has a part to play in making this list. So that has something to do with it as well. However, it's not the NFL that chooses who takes the stage. The league, which Jay-Z is part of, comes up with a short list, but the host cities pick the Super Bowl halftime performers. Atlanta, which hosts 2019 Super Bowl, picked Maroon 5 to play at halftime. So, what we've learned today is that the league presents the host city with a list of performers and says, here's what we think would be good for the halftime show. Choose anybody from this list, and the home city chooses. We are unaware, blissfully unaware at this level, if Lil Wayne's name was on the list. And until the list gets shown, we don't know if he was on the list or not. So you can't blame Jay-Z or Kendrick Lamar for the Wayne snub if they weren't the reason Wayne was snubbed, right? I mean, that's only fair. We have to keep it fair and objective. Now, I did mention Jay-Z has a role to pick, and I want to talk about that a little bit. So, Jay-Z had a deal with the NFL. Let me just look this up so I can make sure that I'm not bullshitting. Here we go. Let me get this up here. There we go. Rock Nation, the entertainment company founded by rapper and businessman Sean Jay-Z Carter, is entering into a multi-year partnership with the NFL to enhance the NFL's live game experiences and to amplify the league's social justice efforts. And they did this to make amends for the Kaepernick thing, which is a completely ridiculous Band-Aid for that, but we don't even need to talk about that. But he has a role to play in choosing the show. And people have blown the Wayne snub so completely out of proportion to the tune where they're suggesting that it's all a conspiracy by the establishment of hip-hop, lumping Jay-Z and Rock Nation into the establishment of hip-hop to, like, put down Young Money Entertainment, being Wayne, Nicki Minaj, and Drake, due to Drake and Kendrick's beef. It's become this massive conspiracy theory. Everybody's blaming Jay-Z when we don't know that for sure. This is all allegations. But also, Jay-Z and Lil Wayne are friends. which has been described by Wayne at one point when he said that Jay-Z paid his back taxes that he owed to the tune of $14 million and said nothing about it. The only reason the public is aware of this information is because Wayne publicly said it when shouting out his appreciation for Jay-Z for doing that. So it's one of those things where people are making a mountain out of a molehill, right? I understand how cool it would be to have Lil Wayne performing in New Orleans for his city. That would be awesome, right? We would all love to see it. All hip hop fans that genuinely can say that they're fans of the art form have to smile thinking about that happening, right? But when we're talking about the Super Bowl halftime show, there's a lot more than just the culture of hip hop that takes into place here. The establishment of the NFL, those rich, conservative, mostly white, I think all white owners, only care about what gets the most money. The league and the commissioners only care about what drives revenue the highest. And at this point, I think that Kendrick Lamar drives revenue more than Lil Wayne. And I think that's just the reality. The last thing I have to say right now is that I believe unless Wayne says no and declines, I think there is a very good chance that Kendrick Lamar asks Lil Wayne to come out on stage and perform for the Super Bowl. It has been well documented that Lil Wayne and that Kendrick Lamar has a great appreciation for Lil Wayne, and I believe they've done a song together on the Carter 6 with Mona Lisa, if I'm not mistaken. So they have that song together, on Mona Lisa featuring Kendrick Lamar, and Kendrick has said that he is, a fan of Lil Wayne. It's happened before. Let me just look it up. I can't see any specific articles on it, so I'm not going to sit here and substantiate it as complete fact. But from what I've seen, Lil Wayne's had influence on everybody. Let's keep it real. He's one of the most influential artists ever, in terms, especially in hip hop. There's nothing to say that, especially because Kendrick seems to be almost a connoisseur or really deep cultural fan of the roots of hip hop. There's no reason to suggest that he won't attempt to invite Wayne on stage. And then it's up to Wayne if he wants to go on stage, especially with the beef that Kendrick just had with Drake and everything else. So, I think it's one of those things where people are making a big deal out of something that isn't that. That isn't that. And you know what? I do personally believe that there's a good chance that we still see Lil Wayne on that Super Bowl halftime stage in New Orleans in February. That's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. You can leave your opinions down in the comments. I may or may not care about them. Probably not, because I don't really care about random online opinions. But you can share them, and sometimes I do respond. If you say something interesting and thought-provoking, I care. That's what I'll say. I care about that. But just shouting, I'm wrong, and giving your opinion, don't care about that. But support the channel if you want. If you don't, I don't really care. Have a great rest of your day. And try not to get too mad about things that don't directly affect you. Don't raise your blood pressure. Add stress lines on your face for no reason. Bye now.